let's just start over with that. Do you want to read that post one more time?
No, I don't want to start over.
I
We
like
already
that.
have the whole
But
thing.
now my format's different and my position's different on it. Just read the post again. I have my points collected now so we can navigate that quicker. My camera's battery or my camera's memory card was full real quick. We're just starting now.
Whoever's watching this, yeah. Whoever's watching, no, we can't do that. People are
What?
going to go crazy. I was going to say people watching should be able to pick how much you get fined for doing that. Most men's first awakening is realizing how little control they have over themselves and their actions. They see how much it's affected them and how much they've missed out on being at the whim of other people. Natural response, total control. Jocko, Goggins, 75 Hard, Red Pill podcasts. Then they eventually realized they swung too far in the other direction and robbed themselves of any flow and ease to balance out the force they've now learned. I always ask guys the same question when they inevitably run into this. When you're done reacting, where does your pendulum settle? That's where you'll find your balance to transcend force and find power.
Okay. So where I went with this was where's the difference between that and discipline? And we talked about how discipline can be a crutch at times. And the question you have to ask yourself is, am I using discipline as a crutch or am I using it right now as a way for me to learn a lesson?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like right now, I get up every single morning at 4 a.m. Doesn't matter what time I go to bed at. I try to go to bed most nights at 8. But like if I have a date or something, maybe 10 or 11, like I may have to get up and not get good sleep, but I'm okay with that. So I think right now, the lesson that I'm really drilling into my head is even if you don't want to do it, you have to do it. This has been something that I've struggled with for a while because especially like in my business, like with where I'm at right now, I can just take a day off if I want. Mm-hmm. And I think what that leads to is those days off kind of stack up and it just is like, oh, I don't want to do that. And that gets pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. And even in personal life, like with conversations I need to be having with myself or difficult decisions, I want to make it so I have those be a default now. It's right away we deal with it. We don't like wait. Yeah. We don't let it, build up.
We've talked about this before, though, where it has to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
And this is it, is you eventually find the balance. So your pendulum was over here, is I'm going to smoke. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to have them multiple days in a row. I'm going to feed into impulse all the time. Now I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I'm on a strict diet. I'm on a strict workout regimen. I'm doing all the things I have to do because I don't want to go back here. Yeah. And so I've gone from far left, not politically, far left to far right. Mm-hmm. And that's my pendulum swing. My pendulum, you're compensating, but in compensating, most of the time you have to overcompensate first. When I help people build boundaries, usually they're going to be kind of an asshole at first because they're just now learning boundaries. So I don't know how to enforce boundaries healthfully.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
So people go super far and start kind of becoming dicks. And then eventually, like a lot of times I'll work with couples where the other person will be like, hey, they're kind of being an asshole to me. What do I do? And I say you have to help them settle the pendulum. They've gone from here to here, no boundaries to all the boundaries, no discipline to all the discipline, and eventually you settle. And so I say once you stop reacting, because your massive discipline was a reaction to your massive lack of discipline. So once you stop reacting, where do you settle? Where do you balance? And that's who you are. And that's why I asked the question the first time was, are you still going to do this in 20 years? Because if I'm still going to do this in 20 years, or if I believe I'm going to be the person who naturally does this in 20 years, I continue doing it.
Yeah.
Eventually, if I don't believe that's going to be attached to me in 20 years, can I at least start entertaining the idea of where I believe I'm going to balance it out?
What do you think of someone that says, I don't even like the word settle? Like the word settle, just like they don't even like it.
So settling as in less? Yeah, okay, I get it. Settling as in calming?
Yeah.
I think that's not a bad thing. Or grounding itself. That's what I mean by settling. So it's not I'm settling for less. I'm settling in the middle, which is I'm settling horizontally, not vertically, let's say. It's not better or worse. It's different.
Yeah. Well, I've thought a lot about, when you look at most of the guys that talk about this kind of stuff, like the guys that are really far right, and I'm not talking about politically, I mean like any of these beliefs, like they go really hard in one direction. Mm-hmm. One thing that I don't really see them ever showing off is family. Never.
Not often.
Very rarely do I see it. It's almost always these guys will show off and use business or like body, like their fitness.
Yeah.
as their thing. And I've thought a lot about that because now that I've been like, I'm not going to say names, but I've been around enough successful people and, you know, talked with them and been in their own personal lives to see that just because it looks pretty on Instagram doesn't mean that it's pretty in the background.
Well, you show off what you're good at.
Yes.
Right? So we have people, guys we know specifically, that are showing off the 8-pack. They're showing off the gym. They're showing off the books that they're reading. They're showing off whatever they're doing. And we know his girlfriend. And we know her side of the story.
We know the crazy shit that's going on.
And we know the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And like you said, I've just heard too many of the stories to continue believing what I'm seeing online.
Yeah.
And so, and I still get surprised by it.
They never get to see it. And I've seen it so many times that now it's like, I don't care that you have a Lambo. Like, here's the thing. I know when someone is worth listening to because I can tell, oh, that like I get value from this person. Oh, that was good. They helped me figure that out. I use that more as my metric now for if I want to listen to someone or not.
Than what they have.
Yes, and what you have and what you're posting. And, oh, it looks perfect online. It looks perfect online. Anything can look perfect online.
We're going to show off what we're good at.
Yeah.
I'm going to exemplify my strengths and I'm going to hide my weaknesses.
This is why I write.
Media.
100%. This is why I write. It's like I can show off. Like I have tons of people that reach out to me, bro, this is like really well written. I'm like, bro, I've been like all I do all day long is write. That's it.
So we've talked about this before though. Like that exact thing was the reason or part of the reason like I moved you in to my house, or just that I had you around me in general when you started coming in and learning from me was I wanted to have that like moral compass that's kind of sitting there, the innocent kid that's at my house, where if I was to do something that is starkly against who I say I am online, not that you would, hey, what the fuck are you doing? But like, hey man, I thought you were different. Like I would see the look of disappointment in your eyes and that would be enough to bring me back like, oh shit, no, I need to snap back into this. Yeah. So it was like kind of a built-in accountability, even though you didn't know you were being that for me. I didn't know that at all. No. I remember having to be that for a good friend of mine and like one of my first mentors, and that it ruined our relationship at the end of the day. Yeah. And I realized how much of a blessing that was for him that he kind of no longer had. And I didn't ever want to become that. So can I just build it in? And can I make certain that I'm doing this where we have my clients over at the house all the time. Whenever we have parties, hangouts, Super Bowl, whatever, I'll have clients fly in. I'll have clients come stay the night.
People who aren't even your clients fly in and want to spend time around you. Like Nick was an example of that. Not me, Nick, another Nick. He came in and he wasn't even a client of yours. He just wanted to meet you, it seemed like.
I just want people to be able to see, hey, there's nothing to hide here. Yeah. You're going to see me with my fiance. You're going to see me with my clients. You're going to see me with my friends. You're going to see me with my daughter, with my dogs. Yeah. You're going to see me around the people who see me all the time. Yeah. And if those people view me positively, I think I'm doing something well. Yeah. It's when I don't have to have my friends like, hey man, don't talk about this. You know, something happens at my house. Hey, let's not talk about this publicly. Like,
yeah. And I have that with a couple people that I know. Exactly. I can't talk about it out loud. And so that to me is like the true indicator of when I think that like perception is reality for a lot of people. And I literally wrote a post about this today where it was like, once you can kind of see through the matrix, I was talking about how you start to understand that what you see is not necessarily what is, and there's something else kind of going on behind it. And I was talking about it from like a societal, like a control point of view, and we don't need to get into conspiracy theories right now. Let's not. But, you know, that's not where this podcast is going. It's like all of a sudden,
I'll just get up and leave.
All of a sudden, what's that? InfoWars, like across the thing. No, but like it's the same thing with the way people want to create a perception. Just like how the government creates a perception around, let's just say Bovid, like, you know, that how that jab is supposed to be perceived. Other people do that with their own personal lives online. Everything is like that. And that's where I think you have to become curious and you have to become very skeptical as well up front. It's almost like I don't want to say guilty until proven innocent, but you should remain skeptical. Oh, this looks like this guy's living a real nice life. It's like something's, maybe.
But that's the thing is when it's too nice.
Yes.
So the nice life is great. Yeah. Too nice and flawless and everything's perfect.
But here's where it gets really weird, though, dude, is when you, and I'm not going to say the name of the person, obviously, but when you find out about, like, through a friend or something about them talking about the sex life, and you see, like, they talk about, like, really weird kinks that person has.
There's too many for me to nail down who you're talking about, unfortunately. There's a lot of them. I know.
Yeah, you already know. I could just mute it real quick.
I know who you're probably talking about, but I'm saying, like, there's so many of them that it would be even hard to nail down who it is.
Well, that's for me. Like, I hear that, I'm like, what? Because for me, it's like, if it's that weird, if sex is that weird for you, something is
Are
psychologically
you
wrong
kink
with you.
shaming right now?
Kind of, yeah. No, yeah. I'm not for that. And people are like, oh, you shouldn't kink shame him for that. I'm like, it's not that I'm kink shaming. It's that you need to get help. Like, you should probably get help if if that's like sexually turning you on. You have some sort of trauma that you need to deal with that you are leaving unresolved, and you're using sex as a form of therapy. And it's not a very effective form of therapy.
So I get the argument, because that was some people's argument, is like, that is my healthy way of dealing with my trauma. If I'm just channeling my trauma into this sexual thing that we are both consenting in, me and my partner consenting in, is it wrong? And I say, no, it's not wrong, but it's also not ideal.
It's also not solving the trauma at all. To me, it just seems like it's like you're taking a bath.
But are
in your
most
trauma.
people trying to solve their trauma, or
No.
are they trying to get through it?
No, they're just trying to get through it.
So I think most of the time they're just trying to get through it.
Like for me, what a lot of my things have come from solving trauma has been just very difficult conversations with myself and others who I trust, like yourself, people that I feel like I can process things with. And a lot of it also, like, this is why I started getting into religion a lot lately, is that it helped me deal through a lot of stuff. Like I had a lot of, I don't want to cry. I had a lot of situations, I like felt it come on for a second. Cause even while I was driving up north yesterday, I was thinking about like just recently what some of my religious experiences have been. And I started crying while I was driving up north cause it was a lot. And, the fact that I know that when these situations are happening, like they say inside of Orthodox Christianity that tears, and maybe just Christianity in general, tears are the bridge between God and your highest self and him trying to communicate a message to you to be able to understand that side of you.
Okay.
And that the tears are really just a way for you. This is very significant. I need you to learn, like I need you to learn from this. Please pay attention right now. And so that's when like the messages I find come through. I've noticed this, that when suffering is deliberate or it's indeliberate. So in terms of, is indeliberate a word? Non-deliberate, I guess is the word for it. Whatever. It's not deliberate is the word for it. When suffering is like that, so you're processing through something, or when it's intentional, so working out, cold plunge, sauna, things like that, downloads come a lot easier, and I'm able to process that voice a lot easier, that internal consciousness. And I can feel that when I'm really going through something and I'm crying, or I'm really processing something emotionally, that internal voice is so much stronger, and it's like it's there with me. It feels like it's really trying to help me through that situation. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a difficult thing to explain, but I think that's one of the best ways I've found how to process trauma and how to deal with it, is just to listen to that voice and then have the conversation afterwards. Write it down, journal, write about it, then bring it to people and talk to people about it. Don't just like, when you just leave it inside yourself and then you don't ever like try and communicate it or try and push it outward, and you don't ever think about it, and you're just constantly numbing yourself to not think about it. Like let's say your dad or your mom or whatever, something happens, and the second that happens, you reach for the bottle, you reach for a joint right after. This is probably something that you need to deal with. Or if you go straight to sex right after, like this is something you need to deal with.
We just read the book on it, Man's Search for Me.
Yeah.
It's the existential vacuum.
Yeah.
And the vacuum creates a void that other things get sucked into.
Yeah.
You have to fill the void. The void can't just sit there. The black hole can't just sit there. It has to pull things in. Yeah. I'm trying to fill space. And until I can fill space with something that's sustainable, I kind of have to fill the space with short term, because that's all I have access to until I've actually done the digging.
Yeah.
And I think the digging is hard, and so we're just naturally
but the key
averse
is to
to
sit with it.
Yeah,
you have
but
to
it's
sit in
painful though.
It really hurts.
So if I'm already in pain, my natural thing is, why would I create more pain in order to heal the pain? I'm going to try all the ways to do it while minimizing pain. And then at the end of the tunnel, I get to, oh shit, I got to go back and redo a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I have to make up for all the time I've been wasting too, or come to grips with the fact that I have been wasting so much time.
Yeah. Yeah, that book was a lot. I mean, it revealed a lot about myself with it. And while I was reading it, first of all, it's a really great tool to always be like, well, at least it's not Auschwitz, like.
Bro, that's all it did for me the first time I read it.
It's so great.
I was like, oh, my problems
are so insignificant.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad at all.
Insignificant. I'm not in Auschwitz. Yeah. No. And I mean, there's just so many of these super fucked ups. Oh my God, dude, the worst part of that book, I started tearing up when I was reading it, was when the white flag came up and they released the prisoners, and half of them just sat down in disbelief.
So hell no.
They
thought it was a trap.
They thought it was a dream too.
Yeah.
They didn't think it was real. They were like, some of them were just sitting on the ground and just unable to even like process Like it was how he described it, I think, was that all of their trauma, all their grief hit them in one moment. Like I had just gone through this and it's over now.
Yeah, because the only way they survived, the people who did survive, the only way they did was by creating like a cocoon around them. I can't worry about my family. I can't worry about my life that I had before this. I can't entertain anything outside of like my next scrap of bread, my next little bit of like broth that I'm getting. And yeah, it has to all of a sudden come rushing in because you've been holding it off or holding it at bay as best you can.
It reminds me of like when you're cold plunging, if you just don't move during it, you'll develop like a heat layer around you. If you're in a cold plunge, just move your arms and legs around. Makes it 15 times worse if you're constantly moving it around. But if you just sit with it,
stay still.
Yeah, if you just stay still, you develop like a I don't even know what the word is for it, but a heat layer, I guess, that kind of wraps around your body. Yeah. That book is amazing. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor F. Frankl?
Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl. It's a solid book.
I have like 20 copies in my office right now. I give them out a lot as gifts.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, it is like, I think that anything that hits home for me, it has to relate with that. Like, because I've been told this my whole life. Like like the Gulag Archipelago was this. This book was this. Like, it's my grandmother on my mom's side were Jewish. And so she constantly reiterates this over and over and over again about like how the Jews suffered. And I was like, yeah. You know, you learn about it in history class. But then when like you're reading a very detailed account of it, it's completely different.
And
like,
a specific like this is a person. This isn't a random Jewish person from 1940, whatever. This is Viktor Frankl telling you exactly what happened to Viktor Frankl. And you've developed a relationship, a one-way relationship with him during the book. So at the time he tells you these things, you're like, oh, it feels like almost somebody I know.
Yeah.
And detailing just like exactly what happened, you can't help but feel something while you're reading that.
So I'd kind of like to make a turn and go in a completely different direction, but based on something you said, let's talk about one-way relationships. Let's talk about one-way monogamy and this whole thing that guys are talking about. Polyamorous relationships with one-way monogamy attached to it.
Yeah. What about it?
So I just see a lot of guys talk about this and they glorify it. And you and I have had a lot of conversations around it, not like, let's do it, but like more like Nick, when Nick was a little bit younger, like Nick, like I want to do it. And then you saying like, I think you need to see the other side of it. And now that I have seen the other side of it, this is kind of what I want to communicate is that I think guys, like what's the word for it? They idealize it or they
idolize it, fantasize.
They idolize it, yeah.
Sensationalize.
Yeah, they make it sensational. The future GIF is
Sensational.
Yeah, no, it's that. Like they think that it's this amazing thing to have multiple women and then one woman who's loyal to you. And like the truth of the matter is that unless that woman's a robot, there's no way she's not going to be like emotionally like messed up from that. She's really going to and the fact that she's staying with you too the whole time means that you are manipulating her to be able to stay with it. And also then like you have to look at it from a woman's perspective. What like self-respecting woman would stay with that? And then you know what everyone says right there. Well, I'm the top G. And that's what they jump to is that like, well, that she knows she's lucky.
That's the thing.
But you're not.
I can hear the argument.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't go on like a Fresh and Fit podcast. Not that I would be invited on a podcast like that. They'll have their argument and I'll say, good for you.
Yeah.
What am I going to argue with?
Yeah.
You believe that, and that's awesome. Talk to me in 20 years.
Yes.
I've interviewed the people 20 years down the road from you. 1,000 of them, literally.
Yeah. Not all of them were like that, but yeah.
No,
yeah,
but
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, that you've seen it.
To get a good view of what that looks like down the road. I think it's the guys you end up empty. Or worse, you end up alcoholic or you end up with a gun in your mouth. And that's not what I want for those people. But my question always is, could they hear the truth if I were to tell them right now?
No, there's 0% chance.
So
but also it's because they haven't experienced
breath.
it. And this is what my own experience with it was, is that I had to, and I thought it was a really good saying that I heard the other day, that in order for a tree to reach heaven, its roots also need to hit hell. So you need to go both directions. I think the only way to really understand why you should go towards light is to kind of experience darkness first. So I experienced it. I had like that fast lifestyle, casual dating. Like you guys were even commenting, I like, dude, this is like what? How many dates this week or something like that? And I was like, I was like, I was taking it as
you
a
were
compliment.
top G at the time.
I was top G. I was wearing sunglasses indoors a lot. So it was like I was. But what I then found at that was when no one was there and I didn't have to present anything for anyone, I was fucking depressed, and I was constantly having to numb myself because I internally I knew this isn't right. I'm lying to all these people. I'm putting on a fake show for all these people, and people be like, "Well, it seems like you were just trying to impress everyone." Who's not? Like, who's that's doing that?
But
who's
it's hard,
not?
like we talk about all the time. It's hard because you're smart, so you can
Yeah.
justify it.
Yeah.
Anything you did, you were able to be like, well, yeah, but it's not that bad because of.
I'm talking about, like, there will be guys that'll say, like, it seems like you were doing that not because you genuinely enjoyed it, but because you were trying to impress people. Everyone that says they genuinely enjoy that, they enjoy it because it impresses people. Like, you having multiple women and all that, it's not because it's because of your social status with it. With men, it's
Part
always
of it. Part of it's enjoyable though.
Well, sure. I mean, that's not the only, that's what I'm saying is you can't have that without that. There's a status component to it as well.
Yeah, or else you wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, you would keep it completely to yourself. You would never tweet about it. You would never, like, tell your friends about it or anything. You would keep it entirely to yourself. So that's what I'm saying is that, like, the guys that even the thing with I posted about this on Twitter where I had the thread about why I sold my Porsche. Someone was like, "It seems like you bought the car just because you wanted to show off to others, not because you liked it." No, it's both. Like, it can be both.
Yeah. I'm not going to show them off something I don't like.
Yeah, I'm not driving around in a Honda Civic like you, bro. Like,
But that's the hard thing too, is
Yeah.
like when you're being judged, do you have access to what I had to give up to learn the lesson that you're now judging me for?
Most of the time, no.
Most of the time it's a no.
No. Yeah, but then, and this is just what was amazing for me is that the second that I decided, okay, like, it's like what Jordan Peterson says. Like, I sat on the edge of my bed and I asked myself, okay, I'm willing to change something about myself, and I'm willing to ask what's wrong right now in my life, and what do I need to change? And I realized it all revolved around, like, lying to myself on what I want from life, and then lying to other people as well as to who I am and what I want. And so I just stopped doing that. I started getting rid of a lot of things. And the second that I got rid of this, like, idea that I need to, in order to be a high value man, I need to have multiple women or whatever. The second I got rid of that idea, and I got rid of a lot of the actions that I think were backing that idea, and anything that was even in that, like, realm or that frequency, everything just got so much better in my life. Like, I felt so much more authentic. And I think that's a sign of an alignment. It's like, I started having way more honest conversations, and funny enough, that's when I met the girl that I'm seeing right now, and it feels a lot more pure. And what you were saying yesterday or earlier, I mean, about not forcing it. Nothing feels forced with her. No character I need to put on, no frame I need to put on or anything. Everything feels so natural and just flows effortlessly through it. I think a lot of that comes from, like, I did that. I saw the consequences of when you're doing that in a relationship, especially. The consequences are the relationship doesn't develop naturally. The relationship develops at either your pace or the partner's pace.
Yeah.
And doesn't really, like what you say, you don't co-create the frame together.
Yes.
It's just one person imposing
You're
the frame.
imposing your frame on the other person.
Yes.
And that's, to some men, that looks like the win. The win is, can I find a woman who will allow me to impose my frame on her at all times?
You want a robot.
And that's okay for some people
Yeah.
for an amount of time.
Yes.
I just don't think that finds you in, like, healthful companionship 20 years down the road.
Never. No. Well, I mean, I can't say because I haven't done it.
Sure.
I think we can say based on things we've seen.
That's why I said I don't think that it does.
Yes.
And so I'm going to act under the assumption that it doesn't.
Yeah. 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 I think that's just a good rule for life is just, don't realize when you're lying to yourself. One of the best ways I think to do that is just get sober, like stop smoking, stop drinking, whatever. Because I think a lot of times when I looked at why I was smoking all the time, because guys, I was not like a light smoker. Like I would smoke like 3-4 times a day, big boy blunts, like big boy joints. Like I was smoking a lot. I had to constantly numb myself. And I was telling myself it's because it's fun. But once I got sober and I got away from it, I realized, oh, that wasn't because it was fun. That was because I needed to numb myself from what I'm dealing with right now. And it's almost like in business, the concept is scale, mess, and debt. So as you scale your life up or as you scale your business up, there's a mess that's created almost inevitably. And then your time cleaning up that mess is the debt that you fall into. So same thing with life is that as you scale your life up, more of whatever, insert cars, women, money, whatever. And once you have that more of that, I won't say money necessarily, but maybe of outward actions. So now partying or friends or spending or whatever, you accumulate a bunch of shit. and then there's a mess, and all the mess is accumulated, and now you need to clean up that mess, and now that's all time that you could have spent continuing to build, but now is debt, and now you're having to clean up, and that's you having to deal with your shit. Yeah, that's it. That concept, if I understood that maybe 2 years ago, I can only imagine how much more money I would have, how much more fulfilled I would be.
Yeah, but it's hard when you have enough money, because you have enough money to talk yourself into, of course this is right, look how much money I'm making.
Yeah.
Of course I can. If this was bad, I would be broke, wouldn't I? If this wasn't good for me, then obviously God would strike me down in some way, and God would, something bad would happen if I was doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. That's why I'm like my tenet right now is just stay sober, because I can feel when it's wrong a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went 2.5 months straight in a business and didn't even think it was really wrong what I was doing, and then I get sober. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to be doing this anymore.
I think you have a clearer communication with
whatever it is.
God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. 100%.
You're not adding static to the line by numbing all the other things.
The way I explained it that I thought was really helpful as well, and I explained this to my buddy Andy, and he really liked it, was I look at it as every single thought, every single action, every single belief, everything radiates at a frequency. It has a frequency in life. And so what you have is basically like, imagine that there are 2 radio towers on both sides. And this radio tower on the left is only low frequency things. This radio tower on the right is only high frequency things. If you're hanging out at the left radio tower, you can't pick up the signal of the right radio tower because it's so strong right there. Yeah. But as you start to separate yourself from it and go further and further away from it, and you get closer to the right radio tower, all of a sudden now, I can hear it a lot clearer. And when you're only in that right radio tower and you don't ever go over to the left one, which I don't think is possible. We all have anger. We all have pride.
But that's the thing is there's always a dominant one.
Yes.
There's always the one that's leading, and then there's the other ones hanging out in the back of your mind.
Are you getting emotional or are you yawning?
No, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah. He's like tearing up right now. I was like, dang, guys, that's a great metaphor. I got him.
My Wednesdays and today's Sunday, right?
Yeah, it's on Wednesday.
Wednesdays and Saturdays, I play poker.
Oh.
So I was up till 3:30.
Damn.
I want some money, though.
How much you win?
2,800.
Damn. Kyrie how much have you lost this year and how much have you won?
No, I'm up on the year total. I'm up 3,500.
Oh, so you keep track?
Yeah. I have a whole tracker.
Is it just this? Like you go up, down, up, down, up, down, like you lose.
So I do have bigger
win.
swings than most people I've seen. Carlos's are like up 140, down 200, up 420. Mine are like up 1,700, down 2,300, up 2,800, down 3,300.
Dude, you play like emotional sometimes though. You throw in. No, you totally play with pride. I've taken big pots from you because you were like, I'm not going to lose to Nick, and you would just throw it all in.
And you fold most of the time. You're negative against me. Guaranteed.
I've played against you 5 or 6 times.
You're negative against me. I know the people who are positive against me.
You know what was funny too is that when I had no strategy, I was so much better at poker than when I started learning strategy. Because I was just like, it'd be pre-flop all in, and everyone would be like, "What the heck?"
Well, that's the thing is that first when you start learning strategy, you're horrible because you're doing everything like it's clunky.
Yeah,
you're doing things, but like you're telling too much information about why you're doing what you're doing. Then you learn to start masking it and disguising it a little bit so that they can't tell why you're doing the thing you're doing.
Yeah,
it's fun. Poker is one of the few things for me that like takes up all of my brain power at the time that I'm doing it. So I don't have to have my brain in a million different places. I'm focused on this one thing.
That's writing for me.
And that's really enjoyable for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I just don't really have fun with it for some reason. Like I just don't. Like, I mean, what's fun to me.
But if you were better at it, would it be more fun?
I mean, maybe. I mean, if I was better at basketball, I think basketball would be more fun.
But like to me, poker's only psychology.
Do I care to get better at it? That's kind of the thing. Yeah.
So that's it. Is I don't enjoy it because I'm not great at it. But if I was better at it, I would enjoy it more. Yeah. Now, do I desire to spend the time to get better at it so I'll enjoy it more?
Yeah, I don't care about I don't care about piano. Like
So like with poker, I enjoy the psychology of poker. I enjoy when I sit down at a table and I don't know anybody, they don't know me. Can I start representing some form of image that's going to pay me off later? So like the guy I won a really big pot off last night, I represented an image from when I sat down at the table, and I exploited that image he had of me, that I was aggressive when I had a really good hand, so that at the end, when I had the best hand, I let him be aggressive And I had to, do I think about it? Okay, cool, I'll call. Next one, do I think about it? Okay, cool, I'll call. And then I get to jam on the river or the last card that comes up, and he gets to sit there and be like, he's bluffing. And he calls, I think it was like $1,100 I threw in on the last card that came out because I had the image. So I probably lost $200 to him before total over the course of 3 hours so that I could capitalize when I had that really good hand. And now it pays off, and I get a total $1,400.
If you don't understand poker, like you can't see what he's saying, but like I understand it enough to know what you're saying. So like following with it is like, that is interesting to me. Like I do find that interesting. I guess it's just a matter of like, what do I want to spend my time on and everything like that?
Because it is a lot of time.
I'll say this though, the best, like my best memories of poker were at the Optima when we were playing with Carlos. That was so much fun, bro. Yeah. Those are the best. And then it was like, certain people started getting invited to those games. That
he started inviting poker players.
Yes,
I told Carlos that's what ruined his game.
Yeah,
is he started inviting poker players to come
guys
play with people who were just having fun.
Bro, I was just like, what the fuck? I'm like getting bodied by all these guys.
People think that like cards because it's chance. Well, we all
it's
get
not.
The cards are random. No, everything's random. No, there's a genuine strategy to it.
Oh, who's the guy's name that was teaching us? We were in a group with him.
Oh, Seth.
When I started listening to him talk about it, I was like, oh.
Way deeper than I
was like, whoa. Yeah. It's not this at all. He was like, there was a whole, like, we had these charts of, like, the statistical probability of, like, which hands to go for. And then it became extremely apparent to me, dudes have this memorized.
Yeah.
They have this memorized.
And in each position. So if you're playing 5-handed versus 7-handed versus 9-handed, the position you're in, if you're under the gun versus in position, which would be on the button or like as the dealer versus in the hijack versus in the low jack, like all your range widens and shrinks as your position changes each time too.
It makes me think about that story that Tate talks about with his dad, where he was like, his dad would play him during chess in the other room. He'd be cooking in the kitchen and just be saying knight E4 and beat him from the other room.
Because he had the whole table in his head.
It's like, what level of IQ are you at that point? Probably like
that. It's really high.
160, 170. Like, yeah.
You're to the point where your social acuity is gone.
Yeah. You're just that smart. And then, and there's tons of those poker guys too. Like you see them with the sunglasses on and headphones in at the tournaments. You know what's always, I feel bad because I think in my core, I remember when I was in school, I really didn't like seeing kids get bullied. I was not a bully, and I did not like when kids got bullied. I threw a water bottle at a kid's throat once because he was bullying someone. Yeah. And I turned into the bully, I guess. No, I was defending him.
Bullied the bully.
But then the kid afterwards was like, no, it was okay. Like, I'm like, do you understand I'm going to the principal's office now? Like, fuck you, dude. So, whatever. Fuck you, Shree. But it's like, I don't like when at those poker tables, those kids or those like maybe more alpha guys pick on those guys because they can't keep up with it, so they use that as their main way to mess with them.
I just like messing with that guy.
Yeah. Okay. So you're the bully guy.
I'm the bully of the bully.
Oh, the bully of the alpha.
The guy who's being the dick to everybody.
Yeah.
As soon as he loses a hand.
Yeah.
I just it's called needling, like just kind of messing with them about their bad hand that they had, or they lost $600 or whatever. And then if they beat me in a hand, I have to then also be able to like, oh, great job, man. You got me on that one, and then move on. Yeah. And I can't be emotional about it if I'm wanting them to be emotional about it.
Yeah.
So I get to just bully the person who's being an asshole to everybody. Everybody else I'm cool with, I'm nice with. I usually play with at least like one or two friends around the table. There's always like the one guy that I get to go mess with because he's being a dick to everybody else.
He's such a jerk. Well, this is what I think the poker games, because when I was living with you, I don't know, how old was I when I started living with you?
20.
Yeah, 20. Oh my God, it's been 3 years. Oh my God. Those were maybe the first outings when I was with you with other people as well. It wasn't just me and you and one other person. It was like large groups of people with it. And what it really became apparent to me, because I would then talk to you afterwards and be able to get your feedback and like, how did I act like kind of an idiot right here? You said this here or whatever. Like, and then I'd be like, okay. But it became really clear to me that there's not just like skill levels in your craft and skill levels in poker and all these different like activities. There's skill levels in communication,
interpersonal,
and your interpersonal. Yeah, your ability to just be likable by other people. It was very clear that people who were not liked by everyone at the table There's one who we have. I'm not gonna say who it is, but we have a group chat that is this person's name support group. So his name support group is the name of the group chat, and all it is basically us just talking shit about him, like, and not like.
Nope. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's horrible, and it's horrible, and we're gonna continue doing it. Fuck off.
He's a dick.
Don't judge me for judging somebody else.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, like don't even try to soften it.
I'm trying.
We're being total pieces of shit. Yes, we're petty.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it is because it's like he tries to present himself as like this super smart,
way over the top.
Yeah, super smart, super talented, super successful businessman. And then we all know it's not true, but I mean, none of us really want to like be a dick to him. Like
I've tried being nice about it.
Yeah.
And talking to him. He's a friend of he was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Where I felt comfortable enough to be like, yo, man, let's talk. And like he pretended to be, understanding. He pretended like it made sense.
I'm really listening to that,
yeah. And then goes and does none of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so okay, yeah. I'm not mad that you don't care and that you're not changing anything, but I'm also not going to continue attempting to help you.
I've had a couple conversations with the guy, and I think at his core, he's a good person. I think at his core, he's nice and he's kind. I think he just has too much of like it's a desire to show everyone how nice and how kind I am. And not in like a way of like in a service talking about it and saying how great I am and saying how fantastic I am. It's like watch Trump's interviews on how he talks about no one knows blank better than I do. It's that to that
nobody's nicer than me.
Yeah,
nobody's more caring.
Nobody's more caring than I am. No, not at all.
But it's that, and I also I genuinely believe there's some mental health issues going on as well,
for sure.
And so there's a level of
we're making ourselves look
I'm not
now.
Also then making him out to be an evil person. I don't think he's a mean person. I think he can't help himself, and I find that hilarious.
I just think it's funny that there's 8 of us in this group chat that all feel the same way about this guy.
And more people asking to join.
There's tons of people that want to join, and we're like, should we start charging for it? Like $9.99 a month?
Service.
Yeah. Oh, I almost said it. I almost said who it was. The message that what's our
Thank you for not.
What was it from Donnie Brasco, friend of ours?
Oh, yeah.
Friend of mine versus friend of ours.
Yeah.
Friend of ours. Friend of ours means you're a made man. This friend of ours, yeah, he said about this group. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but so what I was circling back to the main point, this is someone who has zero social aptitude at all. And to a point, partially, I think it is because he's definitely on the spectrum. Like, it's obvious he's on the spectrum, right? We agree? What do we agree? Am I the only one that thinks that? Is it obvious?
I just wanted to see. Anytime somebody says, "Well, obviously," and then they check for
confirmation,
want to
make sure.
It cracks me the fuck up.
I just want to make sure
you're not getting an answer out of me.
It's yes,
hilarious though.
Yes.
He's obviously
let me make sure. Am I a dick? Like that? No, he definitely is. To the point where he doesn't have that social acuity. It's like shocking. I tell guys this all the time, that it's like, if you can just learn like basic, like social or just basic EQ, you are so much further in the head than the average guy. Like, just go to a cigar bar, go to any cigar bar, and you're going to see that old grizzly guy sitting by himself. Sit down and talk to him. You will see someone who has, and I'm not saying all of them, but like you have an 80 to 90% shot of this person having like, if the social EQ is on like a 1 to 100, he's like 6. yeah, like somewhere right there.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really take much, and I think a lot of it just comes down to like being interested in the other person. But there's a level where you being so interested in the other person and you not talking about yourself does not look good at all. It actually reverses what I think EQ is supposed to do.
It also looks disingenuous.
Yes. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
There's someone who, anytime he would ask you a question, you'd bring it back to him. He would quickly answer it and then bring it back. Yeah. So it's like, that to me is
just looks disingenuous.
It looks very disingenuous. It seems like you're a psyop, honestly. It seems like you're part of the CIA. Yeah. Like, are you trying to interrogate me? I think that's a key indicator that someone's not comfortable sharing themselves with other people, or they don't trust other people. I've thought a lot about what that means. Why someone acts that out. And,
it can definitely be both.
Yeah.
And I think usually there's at least some of each one. It's either I don't trust you or I don't trust me. and that's how it gets acted out.
Yeah.
It gets acted out in, I'm going to bring everything back to you because I don't want you wondering about me.
Yes. But I think this is with most of this stuff. Like, I mean, we could have a full blown like 2-hour discussion about like EQ and like different things on that topic. But, you know, even just like the side of, okay, like let's say not being a negative person and like being positive. There's a point where you can push that too far as well. When you're so bubbly and so happy and so positive, oh, everything's just fantastic. It's so amazing right now. I'm just having such a fantastic time right now. It's like, no, you're not. No one is. Like, no one is having as much fun. Maybe a 3-year-old who just got candy or like 100 tickets at Dave & Buster's, but no one is that excited about life. And then what they will do, and you've said this, is they're smart enough to be like, if you ask them, dude, why are you acting that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just.
What are you not? Are
yeah,
you not happy?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm sorry for being joyful.
Yeah, they'll turn it on you 100%.
What's
yeah.
wrong in your life?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you miserable about?
Yeah, and they'll judge you on it.
Yeah. Who told you were ugly as a kid?
Yeah, I really think you should read Think and Grow Rich. I think
Shut
that'll
up,
help you.
ho.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah, shut up.
Times a million.
Yeah.
All my female clients, I tell them you need to start telling people to suck your balls. When they start saying dumb shit to you, suck on my left nut dick. Only female clients. Guys shouldn't be saying that to
never
people.
say that. Never say that to anyone. No, but it'd be funny if it was a guy who said, suck my clit.
Chew my labia, bro.
Yeah.
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 Mons pubis.
Yeah.
Floss your teeth with it, dick.
Yeah. Ew. I'm like thinking.
Like that. Take it up with him.
Take it up with him. Yeah, it's not me. Well, you know, I was even having this discussion with someone the other day, and they were like, dude, like, you change so much, you change so frequently. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 23. I'm like, I'm still figuring myself out. I'm still learning myself. And anyone who I think can't see that and can't understand that, I don't really care about your opinion. Like, for instance, like Ron, for example, Mr. Ron Lynch. Ron has seen so many different versions of me and has still loved and accepted and guided me every single part of that way. And he says it all the time that he's like, I understand where you're at. You're discovering yourself. You're finding yourself. He's smart enough to have the context that, oh, if Nick said this, it's not because Nick is lying. It's because Nick's still trying to figure himself out.
Yeah, it's I think people misread the certainty. So, and we've talked about this before, is like too much certainty while you're always changing makes you look like you're full of shit.
That's fair.
If I'm always certain and I'm always changing my mind, I'm always certain about the thing until I change my mind, and then I'm certain on the new thing. And then, guess what? I'm certain on the new thing the next week. So I think that's what people have a problem with. Some of us who know you well are able to see, you know in your mind that you're changing, but at each level, like most people do.
But you know, my certainty is not like me saying it's not. I guess it is me saying that this is the way it is, but it's because I want to have the confidence that comes with it.
No, you want to have it figured out.
Yes, that's a good way to put it too. Yeah.
So I want each step to be the last one, and so when it finally is the last one, then I get to be like, aha, I was right all along. And it's not true at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then a couple weeks later. But yeah, this person was saying, like, Nick, you change so often and da-da-da-da and all that. And this is where the conversation went that I thought was really interesting. He said, like, one of the things that I see as well is you keep looking for people for your father figure, and you keep placing people in the role of a father figure. You look at Ron that way. You look at the father in your church that way. You look at Kyrie that way. And instead of just being able to form the opinions yourself. And I was like, thinking about that. Here's like, I mean, you could take that to like a biblical place where it's like the whole point of like what Lucifer was when Lucifer brought the apple. It was like, oh, you can understand, you can know everything yourself. Why would you let him know
like God?
Yeah, you can become like God. You can understand it yourself. Why the hell would I depend on just me to come up with the answers for it? Like when I have people that are further ahead, who have what I want, who I trust, who I've seen in multiple different circumstances act out the character that I want to be able to act out. Why wouldn't I just default and listen to them?
It's also who can get there faster.
Yeah.
So you'll ask me, like you ask me questions I don't know the answer to, but I can think my way through it fast.
100%.
So instead of you having to spend 2 weeks in solitude up in the mountains, can I think about it for 30 seconds and then figure out like
because you've
what
had
to tell
similar
you?
instances. Yeah. No, yeah. And that to me was like, it was so easy to shoot down both those things that person said. And I'm like, because I know myself. I know myself enough to know that like I do that, yes, because I didn't necessarily have that I mean, I know neither of us did. We didn't have that dad that we wanted or that we want now, you know? And so it's like for me to go and try and find that to give me the information that I need. And that's not to say like I don't love my dad. I love my dad. It's a matter of like who I need to be and what I want from my life. I know my dad can't give me the guidance that I need because he doesn't have the life that I want.
Yeah.
So what you do is you find intimations of people who do have what you want and then go to them and ask them for advice. Like to think that you're going to do it all by yourself, that's The Road Most Stupid. Great
True.
book to read, The Road Less Stupid. I don't remember the name of the author, but this is what I want to tell you earlier. One of the sayings that he says in this book is he'll give like a big point. He said it, I swear, 16 times already, and I'm on chapter 3 right now. He'll say the concept and be like, here's it on a bumper sticker. And then he'll just say it in like a quick line or whatever.
God.
And I'm like, give it about 2 weeks and I'm going to start saying
The
that.
little quotables.
Yeah. Here's it on a bumper
Here's
sticker.
it on a bumper sticker. I can see Amanda's dad doing that.
Yeah. Shots
Listen, let me give this to you on a bumper sticker.
Yeah, let me give it to you on a bumper sticker. But that's a great book. A lot of what it's saying in there is giving yourself deliberate thinking time, undisturbed, 60 minutes, 45 minutes and then 15 minutes of execution time of like, how do you execute this? But 45 minutes of sitting down. And the thing that I really liked was asking yourself the right questions. So instead of asking myself, okay, why do I not have sales right now? It's an awful question because it's like you're looking at the symptom instead of the problem actually that's causing the symptom. Okay. So what he was saying is instead asking yourself like a how-based or a what-based question of what can I do in the next 60 days to bring in an additional $20,000 of revenue? What can I do? And then all you do is you sit down and you put that question at the top of your thinking pad, get the phone out of the way, go to the bathroom. In my instance, I'm going to put the dogs inside the crate so they can't disturb me. I'm going to make sure like no one can communicate with me, no Facebook, nothing. And I'm just going to sit there with my ThinkPad, yellow notepad, and put a dot on the page and write out the bullet point of the ideas. And what he said is that the first 33% of your ideas will all be like ideas you've come up with before, in different solutions. Yeah. The next 33% will be ideas that you've come up with and just different iterations of them. And the last 33% is when you're really pushing yourself to the limit of thinking. And I think that that's a solid way to come up with solutions because I've thought about that. I'm like, if I look at all of my past mistakes that I've made or problems I've made or problems I've had, all of them came from making emotional decisions and in the heat of the moment. This seems like such a good idea. Yeah. This seems like such a fantastic idea. And then you do it, and then you're like, oh, that was a stupid idea. That was the dumbest idea.
But at the time, best idea. Before it ever happened,
Yeah.
it was the best idea.
Yeah.
In practice, maybe not so much. Yeah. But I think that's most things people are doing. The thought is good. Or I do this with you all the time. I do this with like clients a lot. Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And as soon as Kyrie says, oh yeah, that sounds good, you know it's a horrible idea. You might go do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn by doing it that it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But bad idea.
Yeah. Well, Kyrie is giving me the signal to wrap up. So
wrap it up, B.
Wrap it up.
All right. You need a wrap it up button.
Wrap it up.